Okay. Hi, everyone. Today we are here to present the Hyatt Regency disaster case study with my group mates, Ronit and Khadir. If you can go to the next slide, please. So I'm just going to be starting this by introducing what this case is. Basically, on July 17, 1981, this is a date to remember in the hotel industry when one of the Hyatt hotels suffered a significant loss of their guests in an accident that killed over 115 people and injured 200 plus people. This happened while hosting a videotaped tea dance party in one of their lobbies. The way this happened was that the guests were dancing under suspended walkways, not expecting them to collapse, and the connections that were supporting the ceiling rods that helped support the second and the fourth, and the fourth walkways, they collapsed, causing the death of these people. Although some people say that this disaster was due because of the design change, there were investigators that looked into it and said that the capacity of the lobby only supported about 60% of the minimum load required by the Kansas City Building Code, which this means that there shouldn't have been that many people there. Saying this, the number of people present at the infrastructure was not being strong enough to hold that amount of people. During this case study, we will be going more in depth in these aspects to educate ourselves in this incident. With further investigation, they discovered that before the disaster happened, there had been more failures detected in the hotel, which is something that we're going to be looking at shortly. So my group mate, Khadir is going to continue with the key problems.
Hey everyone, this is Khadir. I'm going to be talking about the key problems and the timeline for better insight on what happened. So starting with the key problems, the analysis we did is mainly focusing on two key problems. One of them is lack of supervising by the structural engineers. We realized that there is enough evidence on how the engineers act negligent, which led to one of the worst civil engineer disasters in US. And the second problem is the lack of communication, both internally between engineers and architects and externally between the steel contractor and the engineers. And you're going to see how is the lack of communication affected by the evaluation of Ronit 2 in the forward slides. But before that, I'm going to talk about the timeline too, because this gives us a better understanding on how there were negligence not only once but multiple times. The hotel started the construction on 1798, and on January 1979, the new design of the beam connections were offered by the steel contractors, and the engineers were basically in February 1979, they stemmed and they approved the design, which was the fault design, which was going to lead to disaster. And the October 1979, we see here, during the construction, there was a roof collapsed and nobody died, but there was a roof collapse. Then the investigators came in and the engineers agreed that everything was safe and they fixed the roof. And they basically sent approval of safety to the owner. And in July 1980, the hotel was open to business. And in July 17, 1981, the walkway collapsed, killing 114 people and leaving more than 200 injured. Ronit, my group mate Ronit, is going to talk about the rest of the evaluation.
Thank you, guys. So in this slide, we're going to talk about the evaluation that we as a team came. We are focusing on two key points in this evaluation. First is the communication, and second is the original and improvised plan. So if you guys are starting any business, everyone knows that communication is the most vital part in running a business. If a manager is not communicating with his employees, if any higher authority people are not communicating with their lower authority people, the business is not going to be successful. That's what happened over here. There was a disputed communication between fabricator and the engineer design team. So basically, they had an original plan where you can see in the original design where there is like one rod which is going in the cross beam section, and it all the ways it connects level 2 and level 4. This was the original plan, but due to the suggestion of the fabricator, they proceeded with the improvised plan, which was they had two rods. Level 4 had one shorter rod, which was going into the beam box, and level 4 had another rod, which was connecting from beam box to level 2. So because of this, the walkways were not able to hold the maximum load, and that's why this incident occurred. This was the evaluation, and moving into the next slide. Uh, so just a minute. Yeah. So as the investigation happened in the aftermath after the accident, researchers told that even if the original design had been implemented, the walkway would have been able to hold the expected load because they failed to meet the requirements of the Kansas building code, and they didn't check the proper calculation that what was the happened during the design stage. So they should have followed the clear policy and procedures, and they should have not rushed the project for finishing and opening the hotel. They should have taken their time. Uh, my personal experience is the similar accident happened in Mumbai 2019 near a railway station where the bridge collapsed, and there were 30 people who died and 6 were injured. So 6 months before, the BMC, which is known as Municipal Corporation, Bombay Municipal Corporation, they did the routine check, and they did not follow the policies and procedure, and which led to the accident similar to the Hyatt Regency Hotel. So this was the solution and the evaluation.
So right now I'm going to be doing the conclusion. So for this case study, I think we can conclude that we can now be sure that this was an unfortunate event that cost people their lives. But based on all the research and the data from the investigators' analysis, it is an event that could have been avoided if they took the time to make sure that the hotel was meeting the standards of the Kansas City Building Code. With this, they could be taking into account what would have made it easier to avoid this accident. The right thing to have done was check that all the facilities were safe and were being built in the right way before they even opened the hotel. One important thing to remember is that previous to this disaster, the hotel reported that the roof collapsed during the construction, but after checking if everything was okay after it happened, there were no more inspections. I think the most important thing that we have to remember from this case study is probably the reason why all of this happened in the first place. And that is that after they went to court, they wanted to perform on-site inspections to make sure that everything was built the right way moving forward. But the owner denied these inspections because it was going to cost him extra money. In conclusion, we can just say that because he didn't want these inspections, it ended up causing this tragedy that costed people's lives. And basically, this is all we have to say right now. Thank you guys for listening. And if we go to the next slide, we can see all of the references. And this is it from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.